Welcome everyone to another Canvas live stream, Instructure live stream, actually our partnership team with the EdTech Collective event. I am really excited to talk about student pathways, personalized, especially with eCare Vault. I am joined by our good friend, Stephen Simon. Sorry, we said Simmons before. I knew I was gonna mess that up when we started. Stephen Simmons, Director of Client Solutions and Partnerships there with eCare Vault. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Obviously out there in Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. We go live on so many platforms. Sometimes I forget how many there are. There are so many. But we appreciate everyone joining us live. Stephen, how are you doing? We obviously are super grateful for you to kind of talk a little bit about eCare Vault today and how you collaborate in Canvas.
Yes, I am very excited to be able to speak more. And thank you so much for having me, Eddie. Really appreciate it.
No problem. So Stephen's going to get his screen share set up, but I know Stephen was able to tell me a little bit about what eCare Vault does, and I'm really interested. I don't know a whole lot about the platform eCare Vault, but I know that student group, student collaboration, the pathways piece inside of this personalized learning will be super helpful to all of our viewers out there. So Stephen, why don't you go ahead and take it away?
Absolutely. Thank you very much once again, Eddie. Hello, everyone. My name is Stephen Simmons. I'm the director.
That's not you, Stephen. You don't have a beard.
I know. I was going to say that was just kind of stole my thunder there a little bit. I was going to say my hair has sprouted a little bit since that time. This is a time when going in the office was, I guess, a little more normal.
Right.
Yeah, so fantastic to be with everyone today. My name is Stephen Simmons. As I mentioned, I'm the Director of Client Solutions and Partnerships here. To tell you a little bit more about eCare Vault, what we do. At its core, our mission is really to take a student-centered care team approach, be able to drive the continuity of support and services for students, and really be able to drive that across multiple settings from outside of the school walls into the home and into the community with different stakeholders that are around that. Really allows and enables all these stakeholders to have an active voice in the collaboration and coordination of these supports, and helps to drive the enhancement of learning, productivity, and the mental health and well-being outcomes of students. Here at eCare Vault, I lead our industry trends and partnership efforts, and my role is really focused on bringing our innovative solution to the education market. Really excited to be here today to discuss what Eddie kind of teed me up for, as we were just talking about golf, which is great, is how to keep your learners engaged this year, how to address these critical student issues, and how to build staff capacity through personalized student pathways. So just to get started, I'm gonna just talk about a few different topics as we go through here today. First of which was gonna be talking about the backpack tsunami, is what we call it here at eCare Vault, and what you're gonna learn a little bit more about just a second, and a glance at these issues that we're facing in the 2022 school year. A few different strategies to help support students and staff, and this is where I'll get into the personalized pathways aspect, and then I'll share more about our solution, Safe Spaces by eCare Vault. And then I'll give you just an insight about what that looks like in action. And then at that time afterwards, just gonna open up the floor if anyone has any questions. And of course, as we go throughout, feel free to drop your questions in the chat so I can share more and answer anything you may have. Yeah, from there we can get started. What I wanna do, just to give you a little bit of insight about what I'm seeing from a lot of the school districts and clients that I work with, really is just a day in the life of what is happening in student services and student support today. Really, unfortunately, what we're seeing is that the days of student services right now is a lot of inefficient paper-based processes that are leading to just cumbersome, time-consuming things throughout the day. Things are still being done on paper for different assessments and different evaluations, having to track down different records and documents from different people throughout the school district. And unfortunately, that's leading to a delay in student services for these critical support needs that students have. And it's a true issue, because these things that are happening, are leading to these delays when students need them. And if we can make these done in a faster process, the whole continuum of care is going to be better for everyone involved, both on the processes side for your staff and for the services side for the students who need them. So if you feel like you see yourself in this day in the life, just know that you're not alone. And there is a solution out there that can help you, which I'll get into in a little bit more.
Yeah, Stephen, before you jump into that, I really want to know more about some of the trends and really kind of the issues that you guys are seeing. Obviously 2021, 2020, I mean, how far back do we need to go, right? And we've beat this we beat this topic over the head enough, but we all understand that like it's been rough, right?
Yep.
We have visible impacts on what this year has been for students, families, and educators. Like, what are some things that you as a company are kind of seeing and trying to mitigate with that solution?
Thanks, Eddie. Yeah, that's a great transition into what we are calling the backpack tsunami of this fall and moving forward. Well, what this means is, as we talked about, Eddie, students over the past year and a half, 2 years, and really before that, if you want to go into it, have just been going through so many different things, and as a result have undetected and unmonitored issues that they are returning to the classroom this year and bringing this tsunami of different services and evaluations and things that are going to need to be conducted by the school. Because as we know, the school is really the front line of everything that happens in terms of student support for a lot of people that are out there. So we've identified a few key issues as we go into here. And number one of which, and something that's a huge topic right now and gone throughout, is that really student mental health has decreased and gotten a lot worse over the past year and a half. Unfortunately, the school is usually that first line in the place for students to be able to interact with their peers, develop these social emotional skills and learnings that are going to help them throughout life, along with the fact that it just gives them space to be in a kind of safe, contained environment that they can learn and thrive. As the past years happen, obviously being at home, it's led to social isolation, and I think a lot of students and children are seeing the different societal unrest and economic impacts they're probably seeing both in their community and maybe even with their families. So that's having a lot of burden and stress on them as it relates to their day. Not only to mention that they need to keep up with their schoolwork on top of that. So I can only imagine what it's like being a student over the past year and a half. So we can see that's happening, and I think, like you said, Eddie, like, there's just been a ton of reports that come out that are seeing increased rates of anxiety, depression, and in some cases even suicidal ideation for students. That's something so we really need to be able to identify those that are going through issues and be able to get them the support that they need.
Well, like it's just always, I think so much of what educators, my wife teaches third grade. I've mentioned this multiple times on the live streams, people that have watched before, but they go through so much. There are so many things externally happening, obviously, but also because of a new hybrid remote, will they, won't they, should we teach both at the same time? It's tough to also remember the backpack or the baggage, right, of what you guys are calling the backpack tsunami, which is there's other external stuff happening where you can't even, I used to always have this saying, like, I just want teachers to get back to what they do best, which is teach, right? I want to find ways, whether it would be through technology or find ways through educational pedagogy, to let teachers get back to teaching, because we forget this stuff when we have the 900 other, the stuff that we can't control, like the pandemic. So I can't wait to see what you have in store for, like, how eCareVault helps. Like, I think that's what I'm looking for next. So
absolutely, yeah. And even just to jump around, like, on that same topic, is that this the third point here, that a lot of students are going through different experience from their socioeconomic status and things like that. And unfortunately, for a lot, it's put them at increased risk. I think that we tend to think of the school as a prism or a contained environment. But I think, if anything, the past year and a half has really illuminated that there are so many different community and contextual factors that are going to put students at risk for increased mental health issues, increased substantial learning lags, and even just the different factors of support, because no one student is the same. But I think we can see that there are issues and factors that are going to drive these issues and effects on students. I mean, for instance, one report that I thought was really relevant from Common Sense Media found that 16 million K-12 students alone, when remote learning hit, lived in households that didn't have internet connection or they had a device that is adequate for remote and hybrid learning. So I think you can imagine just the impact, just the ability to access learning is an issue. And then you come in with all the other factors that may be happening.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And then, of course, going back to even the second point here is that the past year has just led to substantial learning lags. And I can only imagine just from the past, year and a half of live streams that you've been on, you've probably an ad nauseum topic here, but I mean, there's just so much that's happening. And while some students, have maybe even been able to thrive and focus, through this kind of remote learning environment, that's not the trend for most, And I think that this one study from the Policy Analysts of California Education, but while it's only California, you can probably take that across, the continuum of all students, is that they found that there was a learning lag of 2.5 months for both English language arts and students in math. And I think that even going back to my third point, they found that this divide of economically disadvantaged students experience an even greater learning lag through that. Yeah. And that's just general education. I mean, when we start to get into things like special education, the disparities in the gap even starts to widen from there. Just even as a personal story, I was recently having a conversation with one of my colleagues, and she was telling me about her nephew and just how hard it was to be able to receive speech therapy sessions listed in his IEP over the past year. And what's really tough is that now that he's back in the classroom and being able to receive these services on a more regular basis, just how the disruption in those services happen and basically taken back to square one from there. So these are just some of the things we need to think about and be able to understand. How do we identify the ones that are going through the most issues, and how do we provide them specialized and targeted services that are really going to help the things that are, be able to drive things and move students forward.
That's great.
And just kind of at a closing point, I don't want to go past without even mentioning the effect that the past year has had on both educators and school staff, because we need to think about them as well. I can only imagine, and for all the teachers, educators, and school staff that are out there, we thank you so much for everything that you've done over the past year. And I can only imagine the amount of stuff that you've gone through just to get to where you are today. So thank you. But we understand that what you're going through is tough. You're burning out because you just don't have the same level of access as you had to students before. You are unfortunately seeing a lot of your colleagues probably leave the profession earlier than they thought they were going to, because of just how tough the past year and a half has been and everything that goes through there. So just want to say, we need to be able to put the strategies and solutions in place that are also going to increase staff efficiency, reduce redundant processes, and improve working conditions, and even be able to support teacher well-being itself. And just as a final closing note on this, all of this stuff, all of these factors here are going to lead to what we are seeing as an overflowing need to be able to conduct screenings, assessments, and evaluations for student services, both on the mental health, well-being, and social emotional development side, and learning side as well. So we're going to see increased needs for student health services, student special education services, and everything in between there, just along with general education students as well.
Awesome.
And you're probably asking yourself, with all these problems, how do we even begin to address these issues today? And just a few practical and tactical kind of things we can start to do is just a few things I've identified, and in working with clients, we've seen a lot of success here too. One is just a simple thing to be able to find opportunities and safe spaces to really just check in with students to see how they're doing. Now that we've started to come back to in-person learning a bit, provides that access to really kind of see, be in the classroom physically with students, just be able to pull them inside and say, how are things going? Are you okay? Do you need any help? Really just goes a long way in being able to just know this, telling the student that you're there to support them, and they can come to you with any issues that they may have. I think another important factor is to think, how do we leverage the resources that are around that? One of that is just being able to collaborate with different team members, both in your specific school and the school district that you work in. Just know that you're not alone in your work in supporting students. So being able to leverage the power of the team and resources, knowing when to bring in a counselor, knowing when to bring in a psychologist, and knowing when to even escalate when the students are facing issues at a higher degree that are going to need more specialized assessments, safety screenings, and even like risk assessments to help protect both student safety and school safety as well. And I think that kind of leads me to this next one, is just talking about, it's really, really important to be able to establish a structured system and a structured kind of workflow, if you will, to be able to escalate and report different incidents that are happening, and when a student needs a screen. I think that I was having a conversation with the superintendent recently, and they acknowledge, and even talking with their colleagues who are also superintendents, they know that the Student Services Division and Department of Schools is primarily one of the more underserved departments when we look at the different departments across the school district. And unfortunately, we're now asking them to do some of the most incredibly important work this year with some of the lowest, dedicated solutions and staff at hand. So we really need to think about ways of how to intake different reports and understand how do we get the right people involved at the right time to provide the right solutions and supports when needed. And I think one day to be able to do this is just be able to continue to embrace those existing forms of technology that you have at your fingertips today and the new forms of technology that are out there. One of the great parts of living in the 21st century is that we do have access to a number of solutions that are out there that are able to help us in our daily work. So it could be even something as simple as using your Microsoft Teams license. In a lot of cases, most schools have Teams licenses that are completely unused and untouched. And that's just a way to be able to drive collaboration with all those in your district across the different schools. And we know that different districts have different, lengths and gaps in being able to actually physically be with one another, but just being able to share resources, documents, ideas, observations is really important as well. And then finally, what I want to get into now and just kind of talk about a little bit more is really being able to put students on a personalized support pathway. And what I mean by that is being able to really start to, when you identify a student who may be going through an issue, sometimes in the past, a lot of these students are kind of, fall through the cracks, or they may not be detected or anything again. So what this means is being able to have a structured plan and process to identify, what is blocking this student from being able to learn? What is blocking this student from being able to thrive both mentally, socially, everything from there? And then being able to identify what those barriers are, and then provide specific programs and services in a team-based manner to be able to make that happen, and then track students' progress along that pathway to understand what are the things that are having an effect on them, what hasn't gone right for them in the past, and how can we best address this so we can take students from a stage of crisis or vulnerability and move them to a stage of being able to thrive both academically and socially as well. So this leads me to what I am very excited to talk about today, which is our safe spaces solution for Microsoft Teams that we've developed, which is a really, really great team-based collaboration solution for you to be able to drive coordination and support around the students that need it most. Very simply at its core level, what we allow you to do is create student-centered teams, or what we call care spaces within our solution, to be able to coordinate services across multiple different departments and multiple different schools, to be able to understand observations and things that are happening and get everyone involved and on the same page so that everyone has insight into what the student is going through, to be able to provide them personalized support and then coordinate the services that they need to be able to do that. It also allows to be able to upload and store different reports, documents, safety information, records, assessments, anything you need in a HIPAA and FERPA compliant environment. So you don't have to worry about privacy compliance issues or cybersecurity issues, and know that you can collaborate with peace of mind in a secure environment. And this comes down to be able to even collaborate with third parties that exist outside the school, because you're able to extend that invitation to external team members, for instance, those that may be community providers working outside the school. And you can even invite the parent to be a member of the team as well. So they have you can share updates and progress as to know what the student is going through, and even be able to simply gather parent consents in a streamlined manner too. So that's really important and something that we want to know that people are out there. And if you don't have a Teams license that you may be using, external team members are going to receive an invite to our core eCareVault platform, which has all the same features and benefits as you would see within our Teams application. But really, before I transition over to an actual demo of the solution, just want to talk about how we enable these personalized pathways for learning, engagement, and support. It kind of starts with what we've developed to be able to send out mental health and well-being check-ins to students. So that means being able to just send a check-in virtually, to be able to digitize that form and say, how are you doing? Do you need support? What's going on? And then from there, the student can really respond and say, things haven't been all right recently. I can share information securely with my that persona that's on the team. And that from there, you're able to kind of automate the creation of these teams to be able to provide support, gather that data, and then those programmatic services can help drive the different supports and feedback loops along that student's pathway, which any data then collected can be aggregated into our analytics solution to look at how is that individual student progressing, and then at the school district level or even state level, be able to aggregate that up into a dashboard to understand how those trends are going at a student population level to be able to drive decision-making, resource allocation, and even apply for funding and grant applications. One of the things I haven't talked about is this really aligned to a lot of the social, emotional, and mental health divisions of the American Rescue Plan Act. So just keep that in mind as I kind of go forward, and just know that there's funding opportunities out there available as well. And as a last piece, we know that, of course, as staff is at their capacity and service providers are being asked to do more than they can possibly handle, we also have our referral management solution directly within the team's environment as well, to be able to securely send referrals to frequently used community agencies, to be able to drive seamless enrollment into external services at those community agencies, and drive that cross-sector collaboration to help build capacity through those community partnerships and help just improve your daily work, your daily life, and everything from there. So right now I'm going to transition over to a quick video that's going to show just a kind of what more about our Safe Spaces application, how it works, and how our school district clients are using it today.
Safe Spaces enables an out-of-the-box HIPAA and FERPA compliant collaboration workspace as a dedicated forum to coordinate support and services for students. With Safe Spaces, you can securely share files and documents, drive collaborative discussions, send well-being check-ins to identify students in need, create referrals and collaborate with community partners, and build insights into student progress. Given the growing need to support students with mental health and learning needs, Safe Spaces helps to boost productivity and reduce burnout of educators, build capacity through community partnerships, keep families engaged, and ensure that students thrive. Now, I'll show you how to use Safe Spaces to support students within Microsoft Teams. School staff can send mental health and wellness check-ins to students from Safe Spaces. Students will receive a notification when a new check-in form is assigned and can request to speak to someone about how they are feeling in a discreet manner. When check-in forms are submitted, teachers are notified by the Safe Spaces bot in Teams. Here, they can review student answers and requests for counseling and address their needs to ensure that they get the support that they need. After the teacher reviews the well-being check-in, they can create a support team centered around the student facing issues and extend collaboration beyond the school walls to include relevant stakeholders, such as the school counselor, after-school mentors, and even the student's parent to coordinate support services. Team members can share student records and documents so all stakeholders have relevant care context information while maintaining compliance and protecting student privacy. School staff can leverage the referral feature to streamline referrals to community agencies to help drive seamless connections and meet the needs of students who require support. To create the referral, all the school counselor or special education coordinator needs is the name of the agency and an email address of the agency contact. With the appropriate parent consent, the relevant school official fills out the privacy-compliant referral card, including the reason for the referral. Once the referral has been sent, school officials can track the stages of the referral process to understand when the referral has been accepted by the community agency to ensure students are enrolled in the relevant learning support or counseling services. External service providers are then added as members to the team. They can then provide updates on how the student is progressing in Safe Spaces. Safe Spaces, supporting the mental health and social emotional learning of students.
Well, thanks, Stephen. That was the video was awesome. Like that really kind of cleared up some questions I had. Honestly, and the questions in the chat have been pretty quiet. Do you have any additional thoughts here before we close up?
Yeah, just real quickly, just kind of show that what it looks side by side about what we have here is that your day does not have to be so burdensome with paper-based processes, these inefficient workflows and different things like that to be able to support students. With Safe Spaces, you're able to really streamline these, have a secure place where you can coordinate all these services, understand when students are going through issues, and then be able to bring in the right team members at the right time to streamline assessments, evaluations, and even drive referrals to different community partners and agencies that are out there to build staff capacity, leverage the resources that you have, and be able to, really just digitize all the different things that you may have.
It's fantastic.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
So at this time, really just, if there are any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, anything that may be happening. And I'll quickly flash my contact information on the screen if anybody wants anything, and I can drop a link in the chat for people that are interested in learning more about safe spaces, what we can do, and just if you're interested in learning more about how we can help, we can just help out with that. So it's great.
Yeah, Stephen, I want to clear this up too. We had Ruth here from Facebook asked, I came in late, but will this be automatically added to Canvas, or I'm assuming this has to be purchased? I like how it brings everything together. I'd like to share this with our EC folks. So most of our partnership events, this EdTech Collaborative, are folks that we work really closely with and that integrate really well into our LMS as well as our other products here at Instructure and our Instructure learning platform. But for those types of questions, obviously, this is probably an additional add-on. Teachers that are watching, how do we want to approach that? Just reach out to you for more information. What would be the best?
Yeah, absolutely. So Ruth, if you're out there, just give me a moment. I can stop sharing my screen and I can drop a link in the chat that helps kind of clear this stuff up to kind of be able to help with that. And yes, so that's a great question. It is an add-on for things, but it can be activated as part of your Microsoft Teams experience. And we also have our core eCareVault platform to be able to do this.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So if I drop this in the private chat, will this go to
just throw it. Yeah, if you go ahead and throw it in the private chat on the studio side, I can move it over into our comment section. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
So yeah, Ruth, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I'm happy to answer anything more.
All right, we've got another question coming in here from Haley on YouTube. Hi, Steve. Quick question. Thanks for a great presentation. Does an agency have to be a customer of eCareVault in order to send a referral?
That is a great question. No, it does not. They can easily, to back that up, all a school needs is an email address of that particular agency to be able to invite them freely to the platform. So what's cool about it is that, these teams are dynamic and can include any sort of external team member if they want. So to send a referral, all you need is an email address of that specific, provider at an agency, and you're able to send that to them in a streamlined manner.
Awesome. Well, if anybody has a question, please reach out to Stephen. Had his contact information there. We dropped the link in the chat, so that'll clear up maybe some of your questions, possible chance to schedule a demo with his team. Obviously, eCareVault really works extremely well with Canvas and a fantastic platform for all of the things that schools have dealt with these last few years, right? And it will only get better as things clear up, hopefully. Thanks again, Stephen, for joining us. Everybody out there in Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube land, we appreciate you watching. Until next time, keep learning.
Take care. Have a great day.